Welcome to another episode of Inside Eastern Utah. I am your host, Scotty Draper, and we have a special episode today. We are interviewing candidates for the upcoming election, and we have Mike Justice here with us today. He is an Emery County native that is running for the school board in District 4. So thank you for joining us today, Mike.
Glad to be here.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, like you said, my name is Mike. I'm from Huntington, grew up in Huntington, pretty much been an Emery County resident my whole life. Lived outside of Huntington for 2 years when I went on my mission, and then 3 years when I went to school. Other than that, I've been in Emery County my whole life, and that's about it.
And now you're raising a family there?
Yep, 3 little kids. Got a 10-year-old Champ, and Jory, he's 6, and then my little girl, little Poppy, she's the light of our life, honestly. We love her.
Oh, fantastic. And you work here as well?
So I work in Huntington. I sell insurance at Carbon Emery Insurance. It's a local business with my family that runs it, and then a few others that help us. Been there for 10 years and been doing that and just been enjoying life.
So deep roots, obviously, and those 3 little ones, I think, are what spurred you to run for this position. Can you tell me a bit about that thought process?
You know, honestly, I was approached by a couple of people that just gave me the idea of running for school board. And to tell you the truth, I've honestly always wanted to do it. Didn't know that I would necessarily do it this time. But, you know, when they presented the idea to me, I was like, let's do it. I'm excited.
It's time, right?
Yep, exactly.
And so what changes do you think could be implemented within the district and the schools, if any? Do you have any ideas?
You know, honestly, the biggest changes that I think the school board does, I think that the school district themselves do a good job. I think there's a lot of great people that are in place there with the superintendent. I have a great relationship with Larry Davis. I know him, went to school with his daughter. I know a lot of the principals, have family members and a lot of friends that are teachers. I think they do a great job. I think the biggest thing that I would like to bring to the table is listening to the teachers more, finding opportunities that we can work with the teachers to, number one, give them, you know, teachers do a great job, and to give them better benefits, to give them the tools and the things that they need to have successes in the classroom.
Yes, those teachers are on the front lines.
Absolutely.
They are doing the hard work every day.
It's honestly, they're with our kids more than we are a lot of times, especially during the school year.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there were some changes here this past year with the grade structure with the middle school and the high school. Can you speak to what your opinions are on that? I mean, the first year is kind of a trial, and I know that you're going to have a little one going into middle school, so you probably have some opinions.
So Champ is in 5th grade, so this is his last year that he'll be in elementary school, and then next year he'll be going to middle school, which, to tell you the truth, I like. You know, obviously you're a little nervous with your little one. My oldest child, thinking about him going into middle school, it makes you nervous, but you're excited for the opportunities, the opportunities that you have where you're able to more select the curriculum that, you know, the classes that your kids can go to, and you're able to do more that way is exciting. I am a big proponent with my kids for education. We're big sports people, we are, but education comes first in our household. And so I am super excited for them to have an opportunity that they can grow in those areas.
Yes, because there are certainly opportunities at that middle school level, of course, for education as well as sports. It kind of opens up the doors a little bit. Now, it's been all across the media nationwide, of course, school violence has been a big problem. And what do you think the school district is doing to prevent something like that happening here? Do you think they could do more?
You know, that's a great question, honestly, it is. And it's something that's on the mind of any parent who sends their kids to school when you watch the media and you see some of the things that have been happening. And, you know, honestly, I know that there are counselors that are in place to help kids, you know, that are struggling. And that is an excellent question that I think that does need to be addressed and needs to have our focus. And what are we doing? That's something that we do need to. And as a school board, you can go into that situation and really look and see what we can do to identify people who might be at risk of not necessarily committing those atrocities, but necessarily kids that are struggling with depression, kids that are struggling with anxiety, and what can we do to make our school a safer place is important and definitely needs to be addressed. And what else can we do
Certainly. And you know, the local emergency first responders, the sheriff's office, they've been very involved in getting in and doing trainings.
Yeah, there are drills that they do.
Yes, and so that is so important if it happens. But I like the thought you're going on. You hope we don't get to that point where we need them to respond.
Well,
you want to look at
absolutely.
it kind of before preventing it
Absolutely.
instead of addressing it when it comes.
Absolutely, but also having having a police officer. I've talked to a couple of the police officers about that exact subject, and having police officers more just being present in the schools, just to be there to see, have those students see, oh, there's a police officer right there. It gives you a level of comfort just to see somebody there.
Yes, of course. Now, what, if anything, do you think is the most critical issue facing the school district right now?
Again, the teachers. I honestly believe that the biggest thing that we need to do is support our teachers, is to focus on them and find out how, number one, that we can bring in the best and most qualified teachers as possible. And when we do have teachers, how can we help them and implement different programs to help them to succeed in their classrooms.
Of course, and you said you have some relationships with teachers. Have you had any discussion with teachers, past, present, that they have expressed it's hard to come here because maybe the pay isn't that great, or it's hard to be kept here, so the incentives maybe aren't there to provide.
Well, and one of the things that I've heard from a number of the teachers is not necessarily even just pay raises, but just things that might even seem like a pay raise. Even just different benefits that they could give. Working with them on sick pay, working with them on days of leave, and different things like that. That not necessarily a pay raise, but feel like
benefits,
that. Exactly.
And we speak about the teachers, and I know another thing you might be concerned about is class sizes. What's your view on that?
Class sizes, keeping them as low as possible is important. When you have a classroom with 30 kids, or 30 plus, I mean that's really difficult to teach on an individual basis. As anybody knows in education, everybody learns at different paces, different ways that they learn, and how important it is to individualize curriculum, which is difficult with the curriculum that is set by the state. But then when you have a classroom of 30 kids, that's definitely it's going to put you at a disadvantage than somebody who has 20 kids, that can focus more individually on each child.
Of course. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk a bit more about you. What is something that you think is unique about you that you could bring to the students and to the board?
Honestly, I don't know. That's another good question. I'll tell you a couple different things about me. Number one is I'm a hard worker. That's something my dad taught me at a young age. I fought him tooth and nail on that, but honestly, I learned the importance of hard work. The next thing is honesty. Anybody who knows me, I hope that they know me as an honest person, that I'm going to be a straight shooter. I'm going to have real conversations with people, not just say what they want to hear, but I'm going to have an actual conversation with somebody. And then the next thing is compromise. I grew up in a family of 7 kids, and I'm the 6th of those 7 kids.
Oh, so there's got to be a lot of compromise there.
And so they could overpower me in their arguments, and they could overpower me physically, but you learn to compromise. You learn to get what you want by compromising, by listening and figuring out a situation. And that in the last thing is probably, I'm a problem solver. That's what I want to do, in this day and age, with the new problems that are facing our students today, is how can we solve those problems? How can we help these kids to be ready to go out of our houses and into the real world and into their own lives? And how can we prepare them to do that? And I want to help in that situation.
Great, and I'm sure that being raised with that many siblings, as well as raising a few of your own, has given you quite an insight to school. And for example, you've dealt with a lot of the different schools through this process, through you growing up, through your siblings. You've probably become involved with a lot of the different schools on a personal level. So do you think that brings an extra bit of oomph to what you could bring to the table?
Again, I I am who I am, and I know what I can do and what I can help, and I would like to do that. I mean, this is an opportunity for me, really just to put my name out there to say, look, I'm willing to help here. You know, I help in a lot of situations in sports. I coach. I coach basketball, baseball, and football, so I literally coach all year round, and mostly with those younger kids, you know, because my oldest right now, he's 10, and my middle child is 6, and so I work a lot with those groups, and I love working with those kids. It literally is my passion in life, is to work with those kids and see them grow. I mean, that's our goal every single year, is for them to get better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning. And when that happens, and when you can see those kids take those steps, and to have that aha moment where it's like, wow, you know, I can catch a football, or I can hit something, or in the classroom, if it's, you know, oh, that math problem just clicked in my mind, you know, that's special, and it needs to happen more often and with more kids. And so being able to be in a position where I could help with that is what I want to do.
Great. Now, before we let you go, is there anything else that you want people to know? Any last thoughts? No,
just again, just the fact that I'm willing that I'm here, and I'm willing to put my name out to be in a position such as the school board to help kids.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mike. And don't forget, he is going to be on the ballot. He's running for Emery School Board. It's District 4. So you'll see his name on there as Mike Justice. And stay tuned. We're going to have more coming up on Inside Eastern Utah.